And thank you so much for the invitation to this episode of a podcast that I started in April. It's called Word Culture or Cultura de la Palabra. And
Yeah,
it's
I like that.
yeah, it's an opportunity, to structure communication and to talk to people that I haven't talked in a while or creative people that I admire that have a legacy like you. So I would like to know about you. First of all, introduce yourself to the people that don't know you. I would say that you are a classic jazz player, amazing classic jazz player, but I don't know if that is correct. It's my appreciation. How would you
Well,
describe yourself?
that's fine. Antonio Hart. I'm a saxophonist, composer, arranger, educator. Yeah, primarily have made a career playing with a lot of the masters in the music, about 30 years of it now. But it ranges from very traditional, or if you say classic, to even into contemporary music too. So my music palette is pretty wide, but I've made a reputation in certain musical settings for sure.
Yeah. You are an international star. You know that, right?
Well, Bruce Lee always said that thing about star. What does star mean? I feel, if I feel very blessed to be recognized for my effort. Going into this, it was just for the love of music, and I didn't really think of it as a career. It was just something that I loved. And I started really late compared to a lot of my peers, so I didn't even know that having a career was actually going to be possible for me. But the creator had other things in mind, so.
You got disconnected?
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry, my phone rang. This music is taking me all over the world, and met so many wonderful people like yourself.
Thank you. Hey, tell me, how did everything start? Why music? How did music came into your life?
Ugh. I mean, why? It really just came. I
How?
just
The
remember
question,
as a
honestly, is how, no why.
I, I don't know how. My earliest recollection was being in elementary school. So I was about 5, 6 years old, and they had a band come to my school, and this guy had all these things on the stage on stands, and he played one, and I was like, I don't know what that thing is, but I want to try that. And that was actually the beginning. My grandmother and grandfather had a piano in the house, so of course I would bang on the piano. My uncle had a
Which
trumpet.
state are we talking about? Which city? Which state?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah, so my uncle had a trumpet. I would try to play the trumpet, or he had a bamboo flute. I would try to play it. In fact, my uncle passed. I had that bamboo flute right there on my altar. Yeah, so I wanted to play that thing. I found out later that it was called a saxophone, and went through the process of getting a reed and the teacher showing me how to play, and it was fun. The initial part was fun, and then when you have to practice your scales and things like that, it got a little deep. It wasn't as fun anymore. So, I went to a junior high school in Baltimore that was pretty rough. They actually closed that school down. It was really, really bad, and I lost my passion for learning for school because,
Wow.
if I did my homework, I was going to get in a fight. If I played a song on the saxophone that some little girl appreciated, somebody wanted to fight you. It was just that kind of survival mentality.
Wild West.
It really was. It really was. I mean, I remember going to school and my friends were circled around the car, and I'm like, "What you guys looking at?" And it was a guy with a bullet hole in his head. Somebody shot him and left him in the car. So those are things that I saw growing up. A few of the things that I saw growing up, and besides, a lot of my friends were selling drugs and in and out of jail, and a lot of the girls were getting pregnant really early. I mean, Baltimore is an amazing city culturally, artistically, but at that particular time, mid 80s, you know, it was a lot of stuff going on, you know.
How didn't you decide to follow the path? Why? What makes you, you know, became like a respectable person? Let's put it this way. I mean, considering the environment where you were studying, right?
Well, I mean, you know, I guess I had good upbringing and I was afraid, you know, and honestly, I think it was divine intervention because I was hanging out with these guys, you know, I was hanging with these guys and they were like, man, nah, this is not for you. You know, you go to school, you play that saxophone. I mean, literally, you know. I remember. I came home from Berkeley, and I was visiting my aunt, and a bunch of my friends were standing on the corner, maybe about 5 or 6 guys, and they had on the latest clothes. I mean, they had the gold chains, they had everything. And I'm looking at these guys. I mean, I knew what they were into. And they were like, yeah, man, you home from college? I said, yeah, I'm going into this place to get a sandwich, right? A cheesesteak sub. And I'm looking out the window, I ordered my sandwich, and then I see the guys running, right? I see everybody running, and I see one guy gets thrown against the window by this white guy, and he goes like this, and he pulls out the longest gun I had ever seen in my life. It looked like something from a circus, and he put it behind the guys. He put it behind the guy's head. He said, "Everybody stay in the store." It was a police sweep. They were sweeping the block. So and that's normal, you know. You take your chance. Yeah. So, but had I been outside for like 5 more minutes, I'd have been arrested with these guys too, you know. So, like I said, divine intervention, and you know, my grandmother, she's very, very, very serious about the Bible, Christian, and she's been praying for me. And you know, I just think I have a lot of people that have been praying for me. That's how I've been able to escape a lot of calamity in my life, not by any of my own, you know.
Right, that happened later.
Say it again.
That happens later on. I mean, the awareness and consciousness about these issues, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been in many situations where I'm like, wow, thank you, Grandma, thank you, Mom, thank you, whoever, for praying for me, because there have been times I could have not been here anymore, or I could have been in some really not good situations, you know. So I'm very thankful.
And who were influential at your age, let's say when you were in high school or afterwards, to make you think about music in a serious way?
Well, what happened was, going back to that school I was telling you about, the junior high school or middle school, that goes from 7 to 9th grade. In the 9th grade in Baltimore that year, that might have been, let's see, 81, 82, might be 83 or something like that. They were cutting out all the arts in the Baltimore City Public Schools. So that meant music or visual art. It was just total academia. And at that time, that was my only inspiration for going to school, was like, I could play that saxophone, right? I could play in the band. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do in the 9th grade year. I mean, it was to the point that sometimes my mom would go to work and I would just stay home. I wouldn't go to school. Wow. Or if I went to school, I would just hang out in the music room, because I wasn't learning anything anyway. It was like daycare for grown kids. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do this last year. So they had opened a new high school in Baltimore. It was called the Baltimore School for the Performing Arts. They had it like, you know, there was a famous TV show or movie called Fame, and it was based off the school in New York City, LaGuardia, or one of these schools, performing arts high schools. So they opened them up in different parts of the country. So they had opened the one up in Baltimore maybe 4 or 5 years before I got there. But this school was a public school, but you had to audition to get in, you know, I guess like ESA would be, maybe, you know. So, or ENA, whichever one is the college and the university.
ENA,
ENA, right. So the kids that went there had already taken ballet. They had already been taking acting classes, art classes, and music private lessons. I had none of that. And in fact, the teacher from my previous school said, "You'll never get in there. You won't get in because you're not prepared," right? So somehow one of the guys that went to school with me at that junior high, he got accepted into that school, He talked to the teachers for me. I don't know what he did. God bless him. And I got a call on a Friday, said, come down to the school for an audition on Monday. So I didn't know what to do. I've never been to an audition. I knew I could play some scales. And so I spent like 2 hours on the phone with my friend Timmy trying to learn a piece out of a book. You know, I just went over and over and over and over and over and over, right? So Monday comes and my parents drive me down to this, it was a converted hotel, really beautiful school. So we get down there and I go up these steps and I go in this room with 3 teachers. So they said, welcome. And they asked me to play some scales, which I did. Then they said, well, play your piece. So I played this piece and I was making a mistake in the same place every time. He said, well, play it right here. And he said, are you reading that? I said, I think so. He said, well, how'd you learn it? I said, I learned it on the phone the other night. You know, so at that point, honestly, I said, I'm not getting into this school, right? I'm not going to make it. And again, divine intervention, I got accepted. Right. But it was, you know, and that was, you know, that was the transformation of my life, Ava. That's when everything changed, but not without turmoil and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, because like I'm telling you, I came from a situation that was no education really at all, you know, so I wasn't prepared to be in this school. So first of all, I had teachers that were like, I had to go to summer school because I failed English, I failed French. I had to, you know, I wasn't academically ready to be in that institution. But I got on my knees and prayed so many times. I'm telling you, I got on my knees and said, I cannot leave the school. I can't go back here. I gotta be here. So it was my first time exposure to girls in leotards, you know, running around the school. Homosexuality. I mean, you know, dances and stuff.
The whole world.
Yeah, the whole world. It was a beautiful place because we went to school between 8:10 and 4:30 or something like that, or it was in between there. And it was like this, and it was only 230 people. And we became like this family, right? And like I said, it took me a while to get adjusted and get into the idea of studying, and then having a real teacher that was giving me real direction, and then my exposure to European classical music, because it wasn't jazz. At that time, we were playing the European tradition. So I was listening to Bartok and Stravinsky and Mahler and blah, 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 you know, and then, you know, like seeing all the different dance performances and ballets and visual art. It was amazing. For 4 years. It transformed my life. And, you know, in retrospect, I think, you know, that school was considered a special school, but that should be like the normal school. You know, it shouldn't be something that's like just this, you know, it should be, that's what education was. And we had teachers there that were very serious, musically and academically. They're like, if you were going to be here, you had to be at the highest level of proficiency, of professionalism, of dedication, period.
You need that demand somewhere in your life. Otherwise, how you're going to make move to the next level, right?
They were hard on us. They were really hard on us. Some of them, I think it wasn't warranted. You know, you get a couple of those teachers that are overzealous. But by the time I graduated from there, I had a level of proficiency. I knew how to study. So when I got to Berklee College of Music, because that's where I went after graduation, for me, Berklee was actually easy academically. It really was. Academics wasn't really strong at Berklee. But musically, again, I had to start at the bottom, because that's when I decided, I said, I want to learn how to play jazz. So I'm just turning 18 years old. I could play the saxophone because I could play classical music. I knew people like Charlie Parker, and I heard of these guys, but I didn't know repertoire. And again, guys came there, they grew up being trained in the jazz tradition. So I started out at the bottom, and I just practiced. I practiced for hours and hours and hours. I listened all the time. Anything my teachers told me to do, I did, because I was just so hungry. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be a part of this tradition. You know, I found out who the best players at school. I didn't care who came in with me. I said, who are the best players at Berklee? These are the people I want to know. And I just watched them and did what they did, or tried to hang around when they would let me. So I started out down here, and other guys were here, and slowly it went like this. So by the time I graduated, I was first call for everything. If we had guests at Berklee, I was in the band. If something was happening, Antonio Hart's name was in there. And that's where I met Roy Hargrove. you know, and then, Roy left and moved to New York, and he asked me to join his band, and we did his first recording, and we started traveling the world. That's the whole beginning. And I had to finish one more year because I was doing student teaching. I have a degree in education. So once I graduated, we were already on the road, and then I moved to New York to get my master's, and I went to Queens College, where I'm the director now. So my teacher Jimmy Heath started the program there in the early '80s, and I remember reading about it in Downbeat magazine. I said, I need to go to that place because that's one of the masters, and I want to be, in close association with the master. Even though I always say my teachers at Berkeley were great, and I had some master teachers, Mr. Heath had another kind of connection because, he grew up with John Coltrane and Benny Golson and Miles Davis and, just Clifford Brown, like the icons of jazz. These were like his boys, So
Antonio, and in such a competitive world, how do you keep yourself together? What makes you have trust in yourself and move forward? You know what I mean?
That's a hard question. It's just, I really feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I can work harder now, but it was just a desire and a love for it, a passion for it. You didn't have to tell me to practice. You didn't have to tell me to listen. You didn't have to tell me to do anything. It was just part of my DNA, and I wanted to do it. And I can say this honestly, I didn't really care about what anybody else was doing. My sole desire was to be accepted by the masters. Of course I wanted to be accepted by my friends and my peers, but if somebody like Art Blakey said I could play, or Mr. Heath, or some master said what you're doing is good, that was like gold to me, platinum, or whatever the finest is. And of course I would love for my boys to say, Hart, you sound pretty good, and I encountered a lot of things because, like you said, it's competitive. Why did I get chosen for certain situations? Divine intervention. Could somebody else fill that position that I had? Of course somebody could, but they couldn't give what I give. You know why? Because there's only one Antonio Hart. That's just what it is. So I've had a lot of opposition, a lot of people saying crazy stuff, a lot of people wanting to take your gig, and all that stuff that comes with young people. But 30 years down the line, at this point, I've played with so many masters. It's documented. I've recorded with so many masters. I've kind of made my place. I don't think I've peaked yet in terms of what I want to do artistically, but I don't feel the need to prove anything to anybody. I'm not in competition. The only person I'm in competition with is myself.
That's a great place to be, bro.
Yeah, I'm in competition with myself, and sometimes I'm my hardest critic. I can love myself a little bit more and be a little more compassionate to myself. That's what I'm learning now. And it's funny, where I'm getting that? I'm getting that from martial arts.
I'm gonna ask you, that was my next question. What do you get from martial arts? Because I know you're a practitioner of Kung Fu. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I study a Southern martial arts. It's called Wing Chun.
Wing Chun.
It's from Southern China. It became pretty popular in the United States when Bruce Lee came here. He did it before he created his own style, which is called Jeet Kune Do. But his initial training was in Wing Chun, and his teacher, or his sifu, was called Yip Man. They call him Ip Man in movies. They made a bunch of movies called Ip Man, but his name was Yip, Y-E-P, Yip Man. And Bruce Lee studied with him, but he was his master, but one of his top students was really named Wang Sheng-Le, was Bruce Lee's teacher. But anyway, Bruce Lee got in a lot of trouble in Hong Kong. He fought the wrong person, and he had to get out of Hong Kong because they were going to kill him. So his parents sent him out, and he moved to the United States. He was a citizen anyway, and when he came over, he needed to make some money. He was washing dishes in a Chinese restaurant, but he started teaching, Kung Fu, and the rest is history. He died at 34 years old, 33, 34 years old, and we're still talking about him. He was so innovative. He was brilliant.
Philosopher. Like
He
no.
wrote, he read a lot. He was a ferocious reader. And there's a lot of things about him, a lot of mystique behind him. I met some people in Hong Kong that were like in school with him. I met people that knew him intimately. I went to his house in Hong Kong before they just tore it down. But I actually went to his, I saw his house. I actually was there, you know. Anyway, the martial arts for me has been hard. It's been really hard. One, because I've been to several schools in New York City, maybe like 4 or 5 schools had 4 or 5 different teachers, and looking for that right fit, you know. And I'm very loyal, so I don't just go and to jump ship. It has to be something really strong that make me leave. So every time it was something that made me leave. And the last school that I was with, I was there for 9 years, and I won't go into details why I left, but it was time. So a musician friend of mine, we were talking about it, and I was telling him, because at my other school I was at a very, very high level, right? Now, you know, my chest in the air. And he was real cool. Yeah, man, cool. You know, you're my big brother. So one day we went to work out, and he kicked my ass. Right? And I was like, huh? Right? So
what happened?
Right? That was one thing. I thought it was hot shit. And so when I quit that school, I was really depressed because I was, like I said, I was there for 9 years, and I'm very loyal. And I saw that the teacher wasn't loyal to me. The philosophy of the school, the character of the school was something I didn't want to be a part of anymore. So for like maybe like 2 months, I was depressed because martial arts is a second passion. So I talked to my friend. I said, man, I read an article about your teacher in the Kung Fu magazine. I like what he's saying. Maybe I'll come check out your school. So I had a meeting with the teacher for about 45 minutes, and then I became his private student. And, you know, like 4 or 5 years now, I've risen to her. I've moved pretty fast, you know, because I wasn't a beginner. But like I said, it's been the hardest road. One, because every time you go to a different school, you have to start over again on a certain level, because everybody has their philosophies. It might be a little different. Yeah. So you have to, what they say in Eastern philosophy, you have to empty your cup. You know? So I had to empty my cup. Huh?
Or learn.
Exactly. So I had to empty my cup, but still I was pressing myself. I was like, I should be better than this. I've been doing this for so long. Why can't I get this so fast? Look at these young kids, they're doing this, and look at this. And then I wasn't enjoying it anymore. You know, I was spending thousands of dollars taking private lessons and going to all these classes. And I was like, you know, and some political stuff. And I was like, I'm not enjoying this. And I had to like step back and find out, why do I study martial arts? Because I love it. I love the art. I love the philosophy. I love the challenge, you know? So I had to revamp my thinking. And again, going back to what I was saying before, being more compassionate with myself, being more patient with myself, you know, as long as you continue to do it, you'll get it. And I always tell my students this, I'm like, don't worry about your destination. Just enjoy the journey. Now, some people get to that destination really, really fast, but the person that takes a long time to get to that destination, they have so much more understanding of how they got there. So it was like, once you practice what you preach or listen to what you say, and I have to say, this last 2 months, because we've been doing a lot of classes at home on Zoom, has really been educational for me, because I've had time to like really sit down and assess where I'm at, my philosophy, and practice, you know. So the martial arts actually has been an amazing teacher for me, and is maturing me in a lot of ways that, you know, maybe music didn't, because I'm just in a different parallel with music, and maybe music touched me. Of course, it touched me in another way too.
Yeah, it's a different, right? Tell me, now after the coronavirus, you were always touring the world.
Yeah.
How do you feel now?
Well, honestly, Ava, I've been teaching at the college for 20 years, right? Even I think when I met you over there, I just started teaching at the college, or was just about to start teaching at the college. So I'm salaried, you know, I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. You know, I have a pension, you know, I'm a full professor, 10-year professor. So in terms of finances and stuff,
Yeah,
In terms of finances, I'm not really too. I'm good because I don't live beyond my.
I'm
I don't
talking
live beyond my
physically.
means.
How does it feel like doing something for the living the whole time, touring the world, and all of a sudden
No,
being
no. I'm gonna get to. I'm gonna get to that point. I'm gonna get to that point. My point is that I'm not really worried about that. Now, the creative side of outside of school is what you're talking about, where I can travel and balance the teaching and the performance side of it, the artistic side of it. So I'm missing this part of it, even though I'm practicing. I was supposed to be in South America and Puerto Rico and Taiwan. I lost a bunch of money and just to play with people.
Yeah.
You know, excuse me. It's
the question has to do more with the future. How do you prepare yourself with everything that you know, everything that you are, or your practice of, martial arts or whatever, spiritual practice, to deal with situations like this that are totally unexpected, right? And that in a way you are looking for. I'm just trying to think about the future, right? Provide like a positive perspective for people.
I mean, for me, I think what this has done for anybody that's alive, bless you, is to be appreciative of every moment. Because, of course, we know people pass away, people get sick and things like that, but I've lost so many mentors. I lost Mr. Heath and Wallace Roney and McCoy Tyner and now Jimmy Cobb and people that were close to me in my life. And I'm hearing about people that lost that, my super my building say, yeah, I lost my father in March. And every day we're up to 104,000 people, whatever it is now, so you appreciate life and you start to think about not taking it for granted. I mean, we all know that, when we're young, but, at a certain point you say, wow, we do have mortality and one day I'm not going to be here. And bless you. And I told myself that sitting here, it's, I was telling somebody this yesterday. I'm an only child. I'm not married. I was dating somebody. We had a breakup right before this thing, which was horrible and good at the same time. But, I enjoy being by myself. I know how to entertain myself. I know how to do things by myself as an only child. But it's a difference between wanting to be alone and being forced to be alone. Those are two different things, right? So after 2 months of being in the house, I'm like, I don't ever want to be in this kind of situation alone again. Thank God I was able to talk to people and have some people, but it could drive you crazy, and I've had these mood swings, one day I'm good. One day I'm just like, totally upset.
All of us.
Yeah. Everybody. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to practice. I don't want to hear music, and now with everything that's happening with, this whole thing with Floyd and all the stuff. I mean, I've been angry, I've been depressed, and it makes me think about all the things that I've gone through growing up, the experiences I've had dealing with racism. So it's a lot of different emotions, but I think the first thing I would say is people just got to vote. That's number one. All these people that are out there protesting, definitely. That's what you're supposed to do.
But Antonio, how do you motivate people who don't feel part of anything or who don't feel represented or whatever? You know what I mean? That's my question, and I totally agree with you. But I don't see that happening. That only 50% of the population of the U.S. actually votes.
Yeah, because you know what? I don't want to get into politics too much. But I'm saying there's a system that's in place to keep people in a certain kind of mindset or keep people kind of comatose or with blinders around. If you're working every day and all you can think about is putting food on the table and making your rent, you don't have time to think about what is this guy doing? What is he saying? It's like, I tell people we have really horrible diets in the United States, right? So the average person, a blue collar person, is making a certain amount of money. So they're going to go to Costco and they're going to buy this 25-pound bag of shrimp that's coming from China or Taiwan that has no regulations. They're going to buy that because they can feed their family for a long time, or all this stuff that's not good for you. It's like mass, so we can just survive. And then, thinking about the, you know, I'm sorry, my phone keeps on ringing. You know, coming through the education system, I know, that's why I said, I know what normal people go through, and I know what education is supposed to be like, because I've seen both of them, you know? So I know how to think critically. I know how to see outside of the matrix and see what's going on, because I've had that experience, and I've had instructors that taught me how to think and how to process, you know? Other people, they're not thinking that way. They're like, yo, I got to raise these kids. I got to pay this rent. I got to do this thing. You know what? If I vote, okay, it doesn't mean anything. It's just going to go all. It's only for the top percent that doesn't affect me.
That's the
you
reality.
know, not even thinking about the people that died for the right for you to just have that vote. You know, which the movie just came out, Selma, and all that stuff. People, I mean, it's. I mean, it was just yesterday. It wasn't like it was a long time ago.
No,
right?
it's so recent. That's what it is too in this country, right?
A lot of people have been beaten down. A lot of people are just in total survival mode. But I was thinking about this yesterday, how they galvanized all of the youth, and they were like really proactive when President Obama went in for the first time. It was like these amazing campaigns of getting people out to vote. And I'm hoping that something like that happens again. You know, I mean, you just look at everything that's happened. It's crazy. I mean, this guy was impeached. We have the worst economy. We have the worst unemployment. We have this disease. The most people that have left cabinet in history.
And
I mean, and the list goes on and on.
Bad management and bad politics. All is mediated by that. It could have been better. It could have been. It could have taken other path. So politics is
people didn't vote, you
know, or influence our lives.
Oh, totally. You have to be aware. I mean, if you're able to understand and be aware, that's your civic duty, and especially as a person of color. You know, I mean, the things we're fighting for now, like equal rights and equal representation, and you know, the stop of brutality. I don't know if racism was ever going to end. But, you know, if we want change, people have to do things to make change. And we have a system in place. So that means getting out and vote. You know, even when you feel like your vote doesn't count, it does, because, you know, he won because nobody voted. So the Electoral College took over. So now everybody's saying, what about that Electoral College? If he lost by 3 million votes. Now, if people get out there and vote, we won't have to deal with the Electoral College like we dealt with before. You know, so I don't know how to, all we can do is like our village, right? We can only get with people in our village, and hopefully it spreads, the philosophy, the ideology spreads, and we can get people, but something has to be done between now, June, and November, a lot of campaigns to get people out there and voting. And if we have this virus, you know, and people can't get out to vote, we got to make sure the ballots go out there and people send in their ballots. And that's where it's, you know, they're trying to say, well, that doesn't work anymore. You know, it's going to be corrupt and all this kind of stuff. But that's all propaganda. You know, it works. It's been happening forever. But our civic duty is just to get out there and make that happen. If we want change, if we don't want 3 or 4 more years of what's going on. I mean, I remember when Obama got elected. I was going to Spain. I was going to Grenada to perform. And I remember just how the whole world just changed. People, I mean, I was in an airport and I had an Obama pin. The guy was like, "Can I have it?" I was like, "Yeah, here, have a pin." Everybody was happy. But then I remember when people were like,
so much motivation.
Yeah, why did you vote? Why did you vote George Bush Jr. in again? Why? I remember that too. You know, and now all I can say when I was going around the world, I was like, guys, I didn't vote for him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I did what I was supposed to do. I didn't vote for him. I don't believe in those policies. But what I will say is, I never let anybody talk bad about this country, though. I'm like, I don't believe in the policies. I don't believe what's going on. But that is my country, and you have to be careful about how you talk. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I didn't. You know, you can talk about Trump. You can
make it better because we have, I think, all have expectations because this is a big country. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. That's an amazing country. It really provides a lot of opportunities to everybody. But
yeah, I mean, you have a dream.
There are things that are not functioning has to be corrected. And that things are corrected by people, not by anybody else.
Well, it's a system in place right now there's a demographic of people that realize that their days are pretty much over. That's what it is. This thing right now is the last hurrah. They're just trying to hold on to it, but they know they can't hold on to it because the mixing, the blending, it's already happened. It's already in place.
Yeah.
So a certain demographic is going to be a minority now. And so what I feel, I don't know everything, but I feel like let's get everything we can get, because it's over. But let's get it all, and let's fight to the very, very end, because the world is changing. I mean, and you look
the
at
old mentality. It's the last, let's say, actions of the old world, right? In a way.
Yeah, and that's why let's make America great again. Let's go back in time, and actually we've gone back in time. Right now, we're living. We're back in the 60s and the 50s in terms of what's going on.
I'm living inside a history book. I'm amazed.
Yeah, you are
amazed.
What happens when people don't know history? History repeats itself,
and that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
let me ask you something. I see your teacher. What is Cuba to you?
I would have. You know, I wore that for you.
I love it.
You know, I wore that for you. Hey,
what is Cuba to you? What is Cuba? What?
Well, I think I told you this a long time ago. When I went to Cuba the first time when I was 28, and I was very, very depressed. There was a lot of stuff going on in my life that wasn't positive musically, just in life. I just wasn't happy. And I was talking to a friend of mine's mom. She was like, I'm going to Cuba for whatever reason. I was like, really? Okay, I'm going to go too, So I didn't speak Spanish, and I didn't know much, but I bought a plane ticket to Toronto, and then I flew into Havana, and I stayed right across from the university, Hotel Hamaca. I stayed there. It was next to, it was right next door to Havana Libre. Right. So I got there the night before, got in a cab, got a hotel, didn't know what was going on. Right. So I'm sitting outside drinking a Coca-Cola, and I see all these people walking, and I was like, I'm curious, but I don't know this place. I don't speak Spanish. I don't want to get caught up in nothing. And it was like an outdoor concert. Los Van Van was giving an outdoor concert. Right. But I didn't go. So she showed up the next day. And then I left the hotel, and we went to a Casa Particular that was like really across the street from the university. So we were going to the university and studying like an immersion Spanish course. And I was doing good. I was having a great time. But then it got to the section of like suyos and tuyos and all this stuff. And I was like, Senor, lo siento, no entiende, And she's like, Antonio, no hable English. Espanol, so let me think. And I was like, all I need is just a little bit of English, just a little bit to take me over that edge, right? But she couldn't do it. So I was like later for this. And then some guys found out that I was in Cuba, in Havana, some guys from Educator, my brother Roman Filio, and some guy Irvin, and these guys. So I started hanging out with them. So I was going to Isa, and we would just play all day. We would start in the morning, eat lunch, play, and then remember that club called the Fox and the Crow? It was a jazz club called the Fox and the Crow around the corner from Hotel Nacional. So you know where the movie theater is? Across from Capelia.
And
it was down the street.
23rd Street. Get into the to the
93rd, right.
Oh yeah, right. One of my favorite places when I used to live there.
Yeah, so we would go there, and we would end like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we do the same thing every day. We just played, and like I said, when I went there, I was depressed, and then when I wasn't with those guys, I would just walk along the Malecon for hours. I would just walk down neighborhoods. I mean, people knew I wasn't Cuban. You know who's Cuban and who's not Cuban, right? Just by the way they walk and the energy.
The way you smell, the way you walk, everything. The way you dress.
But nobody messed with me, and I would just think, and it was like when I went there, the days were dark all the time, and all of a sudden I started to see the sun. There was no McDonald's. There was no TV. If I was watching TV, it was either some great music going on or Castro was talking, you know, which I didn't watch too much TV. And, you know, I would just walk down the street and saw the most beautiful people I ever saw in my life. And, you know, I met some really wonderful, I met some people that were trying to hustle me too, but that's normal. I'm from New York. And, you know, I was there for like 2 weeks. And I remember being on a plane coming home and I was crying because I didn't want to leave. It was like my heart started opening up again. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And then I saved my money and I went back. And, you know, so I went there like 4 times. The last time I was there for the Jazz Festival, International Jazz Day. And it was beautiful to see a lot of the change that's happened there where people are starting to make money and doing some things. And then Trump kind of set things back again. But I always say Cuba. I used to have the Cuban flag on my arm right here. I have it. It's covered with something else. I still got the word Cuba right there though.
Oh, you tattoo it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Because I said Cuba.
Because you remind me why Cuba was something that I like.
Cuba saved my life. You know, it was like when I needed to be grounded, when I needed to be somewhere where it wasn't a lot of bullshit. Excuse my language. When I needed to be around people that, and on some instances, didn't have anything. I was walking around with $200 or $300 in my pocket. I was rich, you know, and I had people there that was like my musician friends who would make $10 a month or something like that. And they're like, Antonio, save your money. We got you, you know, and they took care of me, you know, and I never forgot that. Or going to people's houses and saying like, I remember this. I was at Roman's house. And he had one of those TVs that had the VH player at the bottom. You could put the VHS tape. He had a telephone, which was a luxury. And it was like nothing special in the house. And then I get back, I get off the plane, I come back to New York, and I sit in this apartment, and I'm like, couch, TV, stereo, shit.
We needed all stuff to live.
You know, and I was like, you know what? It didn't mean anything to me anymore. It was like, I was like, these people didn't have anything, and they were so full of life, you know, like, I mean, just the dancing, the food, I mean, the music, and just, I love the Cuban culture, like, more than I can articulate in words. And like, Cuba will always be like a place that I hold with high esteem, because I went there at a time where I felt dead, and Cuba blew life back into my body.
You know how
that's why I love Cuba.
I feel the same when I go to New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
When I'm looking for that warmth in the streets, in people, I go to New Orleans, and probably, I don't know, because of the music, everybody's a musician there, and everybody's into the art of doing something artistically that I feel, and the mix too, I don't know.
Man, I mean, I remember in the cab coming to the Hotel Hamaka, and the cab driver's on the stairwell, and I was like, everybody here is a musician.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I saw the people dancing, you know, and the way they move their body is like, I'm like, you can't learn that. You got to be born with that. The guys are dancing, and then there's like this little thing. You're like,
you know, it's so shocking. How come? And I realized that, of course, we were born and raised with this dancing and music culture in our bodies. It's natural to us. But so many people have to pay so much money to learn because they don't know that. Of course, they didn't have it, no? But for us, it was a natural thing.
But see, that's the whole thing with jazz too, because, you know, with the event of jazz schools and books and stuff, you can learn the technique. You can do it where it looks good, but somebody that really understands it and can go under the hood and be like, you don't understand the culture. So it's like me, okay, I want to learn like something bata, you know, of course I would have to be into the whole religion and kind of stuff. I can learn the patterns, but I don't really know what that means. Yeah. And spiritually, when I play it, it's not going to have that same meaning. People are like, yeah, you're playing it, but it might be something just a little off, that the person that gives like, that's wrong. You be like, what? I've learned. No, it's wrong because you don't understand. The same thing with jazz. Yeah, you can play all the notes. You can play, it sounds good, but you don't know anything about the African-American experience. You don't know nothing about Middle Passage coming from Africa. You don't know what it was like to be like a slave. You don't understand about the church. You don't understand about the food.
Have you tried to play Cuban music?
Of course, I've tried. Of course.
How do you like it? How do you find it? What do you, as a musician? What about the rhythms that we have?
I mean, I felt an affinity and a connection with the rhythm because I've been listening to it, you know, and studying Benny Murray. What's that? What's that? Matanza, the African, the group, the famous group from Matanzas. I mean, I'm sure there's many of them.
Los muñequitos de Matanza.
Muñequitos, Matanzas, all of the dance songs, the habaneros. I listened to everything that I could listen to. That was one thing I did when I was with Roman. I said, man, I brought all these jazz tapes. I said, give me your music. And I still have those tapes. I have all these tapes of all this different Cuban music. So I was listening to that. Of course, I was listening to the latest stuff. Los Van Van, Educator, Bambaleo, Maraca, what's his, Richard Edwards, the flute
Habana
player.
Huh? Habana de Primera.
Everything. I checked out everything. I mean, I did a record where I played a lot of music that was like tributed to my trip in Cuba called Amatu Sonrisa. But you know, yeah, there's certain subtleties and things I wouldn't get had I not gone to Cuba or understood had I not gone there. And you know, I remember going to a Roomba session with you, but that was in Florida. You remember that?
No.
We went to we went to a Roomba session, and it was like it was you know, the people going in there and, you know,
things happen there.
You know, and people were coming out, and I was like, that shit real, right?
And that's what everybody asks all the time. Is that real?
Yeah, because they would go through that thing, they would get possessed by, you know, the deity or whatever, and then somebody would take them out, and then all of a sudden they come back, you know. And I remember I said, for real? Did you really feel that? And I was like, yes, it was real. I was like, I'm intrigued, but I don't want none of that. I was like,
you know, when I was crowned, and I was like that, kind of in denial. I was like, oh no, I don't want that. Any saints coming to my body for anything. Because when you are crowned in the Yoruba ceremony, they are supposed, part of the celebration, they present you to el tambor. So you have to be there, you know, and you have to dance with all the tambors. And you're supposed to feel.
Yeah, open yourself up. Yeah.
To feel that. And I was praying the whole time while I was dancing. Oh no, God, please, no, I don't want anything of that happening.
Did you feel it?
No, I didn't feel it. Like, I didn't have a trance, but I was really, I mean, emotional. Let's put it this way. I was happy, whatever. I was feeling good, but no.
No, that stuff is real. You know, the first time I went there, actually, like I said, I was depressed, but I was looking, tell me this, right? Anybody that knows about Cuba, there's a babalao on every corner, right?
Everybody knows a babalao, come on.
Yeah, but the whole time I was there for 2 weeks, I did not meet one babalao. And I was there looking for that. I was searching for that. And I didn't meet one babalao. So that let me know that wasn't for me. You know what I mean? That really wasn't what I was supposed to be doing when I was there. But I mean, I got so many fond memories of hanging out in Havana, and I've only been to Havana and Santa Clara, but I want to go to Santiago. I want to go back. It's a place that I could live part of the year because, like, I feel like it's like a
What about Asia, Antonio? I know you are really connected to Asia too, right?
I don't have that same connection. Like, yeah, I've been to Japan many times, and in the last, I went to China in 98, and then I went back in 2011 after I played at the White House. I played the White House for Obama, President Obama, and then there was a state dinner for the Chinese president. So I started going over after that. So from 2011 to like 2016, I was going there every year, staying like maybe a month at a time. I was teaching, but I used it as a chance to get closer to my martial arts, right? So I went to like Shaolin Temple. I took lessons with the monks. I'm the only person that ever played jazz at Shaolin Temple.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah, 1,500 years. I'm the first person to play jazz at Shaolin Temple.
That's enormous.
And then I went to Wudang Mountain. That was supposed to be the home of Tai Chi. So, and then I've gone to where my martial arts comes from, southern China. I went to Fushan, and I like I said, I've explored that kind of thing. And yeah, my whole thing with China was like, it's a culture that has like 6,000, 5,000 years of documented history. So I was just curious about it, to see what it's like to be on the Great Wall or go to the Forbidden City and just to check out all these things. I wanted to see what real Chinese food was. It's nothing like we see in these restaurants.
How people treat you there? As a musician or as a person?
I have mixed feelings about China because I encountered a lot of different personalities. For the most part, I was very big, and I went through a lot of places in mainland China. I mean, I was even in Wuhan, believe it or not, way before this, so I'm good. But people were nice. There were people that wanted to take advantage of a situation. A lot of people that wanted to take advantage of a situation. But I have people over there that I consider like family over there. I have great memories, things that I've seen and been able to go. Like I'm totally into Chinese tea now because I've been going back and forth to China and especially Taiwan, because we had a student at my college named Stacy Wei who graduated. He went back to Taipei and created a whole jazz scene. I mean, I'm so proud of this guy. He's a trumpet player, and he created like a jazz camp. And like for 10 years, a couple of us, we go over there every summer, probably not this summer, and we would teach. And because of that, we started to have generations of students that are getting educated in the music, and then they're starting to come to the United States and study with us. So it's like this beautiful thing. It's like our extended family, like our son, one of our sons. Now we're bringing in other kids, and now we have graduates on the program that were like little kids in the camp, so it's like the beautiful thing to see. And like I said, like I'm totally into Chinese teas. I don't know if you see my, that's my tea setup.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So like,
So
it's a form of meditation. I do it all the time. I was drinking it, it's like, just a very meditative kind of thing when you do it. With the incense and sometimes music and things like that. But yeah, I love Asia, and I love to that I've had these experiences, because I've been, like I said, I've been to China about 11 times. I don't know how many times I've been to Japan and Taiwan, at least 10 times. But in terms of places that I connect with right here, the next place is Cuba for sure. I mean, there's parts of Europe that I enjoy, but Cuba, oh my God.
Yeah. What is missing? Yeah. Let me do the last question. What is missing in the future? What are you planning, musically speaking? What you haven't done yet that you want to do?
Well, I need to start. I just needed a couple of days because we just finished school Friday. We just actually, and it's been really rough because we've been teaching at home. And being the director of the program, there's a lot of administrative things and directions, and students from all over the world have questions. So I'm fried. I'm still fried. So I've been just kind of relaxing for a couple of days. I go to the park to work out and don't pressure myself like I normally do. But I'm working on some music that I would like to record at some point, do another recording. I'm working on a suite for like my form of martial arts, Wing Chun, we have sections, right? We have 3 hand forms where we use our hands, and then we have something called a wooden dummy, this exercise that we do, and then we have 2 weapons. We have the pole, 8.5-foot pole, and we have the butterfly swords. I'm not at the butterfly swords level yet. That's the highest level. But what I'm doing is writing music for each form. So it's going to be a suite that represents my martial arts. So it's like blending my jazz with my martial arts. And also I'm working on a book, a saxophone method book and it's
Yes.
based on all my teaching from the last 20 years, things that I've seen that were
Ooh.
successful for students. But also, this book is going to be geared to somebody that knows nothing about the saxophone. Like they know nothing. All they know is like, I want to play saxophone. And this book is going to be like, maybe in volumes, but like, this is how you get started. This is what it, so without it being too much but allowing them to get started and know how to move forward and proceed. So I'm getting back, and that's something I'm gonna do this summer. I have like a bunch of books that I want to read. That's what just want to read. It's been hard for me to sit down, especially with current events. Just I read something, I'm like, what did I just read? Because I'm not really there. So that just taking care of my body, relaxing, and doing whatever I didn't tell too many people. I'll tell you. I mean, but people know now. I told myself that whatever I've ever wanted to do in life, I'm going to do it before I die.
There you go.
So as a kid, I always wanted to learn how to ride a unicycle. So I bought a unicycle.
Yeah.
And I've been going to the park.
There you go.
For the last couple of weeks, practicing the unicycle. And I've fallen on my butt, and it's the most fun in the world. And I'm like 51 years old with the helmet and pads, and I'm enjoying it. Now, once I learn how to ride it, I might stop. But but it's like something that I want to do.
We are always looking for challenge in life, right? Things to do.
And we've talked about this. I really do want to settle down and have a family and build and have a legacy. So some of the fears and things that I think were holding me back, I want to let go of that so I can open up myself and receive the queen that comes into my life.
That's a hard and necessary work.
Huh?
That's a hard and necessary work.
Yeah, and what I've learned is just, you really have to love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, it's really hard to love anybody else. And it's easy to look at people and see what they have and what attributes they have and what they don't have. And a lot of times when we judge other people, it's really a reflection of a mirror of how we're looking at ourselves. Okay. So like at this point, that's what this time alone has taught me to like think about life differently. And one of my mantras is like I have these beads that my brother gave me in China. And when I'm walking down the street, I'm just saying, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. And think about the things that show you that you love yourself. That means like taking care of your body, watching what you eat, watch what you put in your brain.
Your mental health. Very important.
It all starts there. It all starts there. But I'm so proud of you, doctor.
For this interview, I love it. I wanted to talk to you a long time ago, so now I have it. And it's
I know.